Hi everyone, this is Jonathan from j5music.com. Hope we're all well. I just wanted to show you a few of the products that are available on the website. The website has been updated quite a lot recently. So what I've done is I have sort of categorized things into like full sample packs, bite-sized kits, and then free stuff along with Ableton Live racks. So what I wanted to show you today was just a few of these products that I've got up on there. Some of these products are free. There's quite a lot on there that are free. So just honestly feel free to just go and just download them. There's no attachments. You can choose if you subscribe or you don't subscribe. That's entirely up to you. I just want to share these things with you. So what we'll do is we'll start off on the left hand side with the bite-sized drum kits. So starting off with the bite-sized drum kits, what these are is effectively just bite-sized drum kits that come from either organic sounds or recorded in from a hardware synthesizer. So for example, this ELEK kit, this comes from the Syntact, which is an analog machine. So the analog has been recorded into the computer via an interface, and then it hasn't been processed. So what you're getting within the sounds is what has come out of the machine. So you can pick and choose to what you want to do with these sounds. I think they're all recorded in 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, unless it's stated otherwise on the actual website. This is just for if I wanted a lo-fi kit, I might want to export it at 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. But ultimately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the quality as high as possible, so you can choose what you want to do with these samples, or you can fit them into your productions to your liking. So starting off on the left hand side, we'll look at two kits that are available on the website. There's a tone kit, which is a heavily saturated sort of circuit. So the samples that I've got are from a real drum kit, and they've been put in to my DAW. I've then processed them actually through the analog heat, which gives it that saturation or that saturated feel. So that's the only part of processing that goes on it. It will state on it what processing has been done to them, if there has been any done to them, if that makes sense. So for example, this tone kit here, so you can hear the bleed from the tom on that kick. So I've left all that in there so you can choose what you want, because on the, let's say on this kick one, you might just want to use this part of the sample. You know, boost that up in volume. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you as much of the sample as possible so that you can pick and choose what you want to do with it within your productions. Also maintaining that high level of quality throughout everything that I put on the website. So for example, this tone kit, this is the sequence that I've done so far. So that's what that is. What I've added then is a transient shaper. I could go into all these and set them up and put them on a macro by reducing the sustain level down, but it's just as easy just to put a transient shaper on there. I'm using Native Instruments Transient Master, and I've pulled the sustain all the way down. I'll just reset that, turn it on, and then we'll just pull this down so you can hear what it's doing. So it's getting rid of all that decay, that low end, that decay basically. We can increase the attack, but on this occasion I might decrease it depending on what it's like with this ELEK kit. So moving on to the ELEK kit, this is, like I said, this is from the Syntact, all, like I'd say, handcrafted by me. So if I just play all these for you. And then I'll play this one. So that is the ELEK kit. If I play these two together now, but what I'll do on this tone kit is I'll just pull this fader down and I'll bring that in nice and slowly. So they're sounding really good. We could obviously go to town with the processing and stuff, but to be honest with you, I don't think it really needs that much doing to it. It's nice and weighty, it feels good, it sounds good, and that's the main thing. Next thing that I wanted to show you was the circuit noise. Now this is a free 8-pack. I won't say 8-pack. It's got 8 samples to the pack. So these are 8 different analog circuit noises that you get. So if I just stop that and start play this. So that is one noise. That's another noise. And it goes from 1 being the cleanest to 8 being the not so cleanest. You can just tell it gets a bit darker and a bit louder. But how you can utilize this in your track, let's say if we have this drum pack going again, we could then start this noise up. And then we could sidechain that to a given parameter. On this occasion, I've done it to the main. But then you could use sort of sidechain inputs and stuff just to specifically hone it into maybe the kick, which I've done there, or you could have it throughout the whole track so it bounces up and down. It's just filling in them gaps that is not being played, and it's just giving that texture to the overall mix. So that is what the circuit noise is designed for. It's just to give you that texture in your tracks. On to the next one, and this is a contact instrument. I made and designed this, and it's called SQUINE. It's basically a sine wave and a square wave. So SQ meaning the square wave, and then the INE meaning the sine wave, so SQUINE. And basically all this is just like I say, is just a sine wave, a square wave. You can detune the sine and the square wave. You've got the filters on there, so you've got a low pass filter, a low pass resonance, high pass frequency, and a high pass resonance. With the low pass frequency, it goes, I think it goes from 20,000 hertz down to 20 hertz. Same with the high pass frequency, and the low pass, that is self oscillating, so be careful when you're pushing that. The amp ADSI is just basically an attack decay sustain and reach for the amp, and then the effects is saturation, chorus, where you've got the depth in the mix, you've got a reverb, fixed reverb, and then the delay, which is in milliseconds. You've got feedback, flutter, which fluctuates the pitch, and then the overall mix, and then you've got a fixed limiter on the output. So if we just listen to this, so you can get some really strong bass sounds out of this. This is emulated from the Moog Minotaur. So I think the samples are taken from the Moog Minotaur itself, the sine wave and the square wave over, I think, every note on there. So it was quite an intensive project. If not every note, it were every, I think, 3 notes. But I think I did it on every note. In fact, I'll just have a look actually. So it was done from, so every note was recorded from C1 up to C5, and then I just stretched that C5 out to give us an extra octave. So that is the SQUINE. It's a really good, powerful tool. If you're just wanting raw waveforms, you can get them out of there, and then you could record them into, let's say you like just let's say you just liked that. You could record that into your DAW, and then you could put that into a sampler where you could then just use that note to however you want. You could either increase the drive on your sampler, or you could add more effects, and to make it more homely to you, or to make it work for you. But the quality of the recordings are there, and this whole UI interface is just there just to help you just get started, really. So that's SQUINE, and then we will go on to TranSchmitt 5. Now, TranSchmitt 5 was quite a task, this one, if I'm honest. So I started off with the 555 circuit, and the 555 circuit was basically done from an integrated circuit called 555. It's a 555 chip. I designed a circuit that was made to oscillate. So an oscillation is something that goes back and forth, or it goes in like around in a cycle. And I made a circuit that did this. Well, I made 3 circuits that did this. So the 555 comes from the 555 timer circuit. So it's basically, it's meant to be a square wave. So it's meant to be on and off. But what you get with analog rather than digital is you get that element of analog. So you're not really getting a pure square wave. You're getting the attack, a tiny bit of attack and a bit of release on the capacitors, or on the capacitors and the components that I used. What I wanted to achieve with this was to bring the DIY factor into the digital domain, where you could naturally hear the fluctuation of a circuit. So if I just turned these 2 down, you can hear there you've got all that aliasing on the top end. Just turn off all these effects. You can actually hear the waveform moving, and these are all set as well to be looped, so you can hold the keys down forever. You can make chords. That's basically the 555 circuit. This is the transistor. So nice bright. And then Schmitt. But we add them all together, and because they're not all in phase, we're getting like this whooshy sort of modulation going between them. And then we could add our own effects to this. We could add circuit noise, which I wanted to sort of emulate, chorus, tape drive, your ADSR for your amplifier, a low pass filter with a resonance, high pass, and then the resonance, and then reverb, delay, and then last but not least, a limiter. So when you play these together, you can get this nice airy sort of So with that in mind, I'll basically show you what I've got on this track. And if I play that together with the bass, and then play it all together. So what this basically is this is just a lo-fi effects rack, which incorporates some EQ curves from known sort of hardware devices. I've sort of copied the curves to emulate the curves that you would get from these emulated hardware devices, and from that, what we have here, I'll just go through this section for you. So we have an EQ section here. So on the top here we have high pass, and then on the bottom row we have low pass. So each band is pre and post effects. So if you wanted 20 Hz to be cut before all this effects lot, then you would do that. Or if you wanted it after, you'd do that then. The only effects it does go pre and post is the sampler noise and circuit noise, and then the vinyl circuit. The compressor is completely separate at the end. So if I just play this, so they're the EQs. The idea for this is so that it can go on any of your tracks. I made this sort of in conjunction with Push 3, so you could drag this onto your Push 3 device and use that in a live environment, using obviously the standalone version of Push 3. So this device is really good because what it's got obviously this sampler circuit and circuit noise, which coincide with each other, but it's also got this vinyl crackle and ducking circuit, which is actually sidechained to the track itself. So if I just play this, and I will go through the sampler circuit for you first. So 0 being off, and then I can't remember which values it is, but I've written a manual for it which comes with it. But you've got the ASR10, and then you've got the SP1200, and then the emulator. So what it's basically doing is going from clean dry signal all the way around to the dirtiest. And then I've added another circuit noise, a sort of circuit noise emulation that looks at the incoming signal on what it is that's coming in. So for these drums, for example, so it sort of reacts to the incoming signal that's coming in. The vinyl crackle, is vinyl crackle, but it's got a gate on it as well. So when you have vinyl crackle on, usually it usually just keeps going, but it's got a gate on this which allows when you stop, if you've got multiple instances on this on multiple tracks, they're not all crackling at the same time. So there's that. So if I just start this, but then I've got this ducking vinyl. So what this does is it ducks the vinyl crackle out of the way from the incoming signal. So if I just put this in full. So you notice that it's similar to this circuit noise where it's just ducking, it's just filling in them gaps or what's in between. And then last on the vinyl, we've got the RPM. The RPM is set to 33 RPM, which is 0.55 Hertz, which just gives you that nice sort of fluctuation in pitch. And 0 to 127 is the strength of the wobble or the pitch variation. Then the last section is the compressor. By default, it's set to 1. It's on. The attack and release is set to really fast to slow. So if you're wanting some nice breather sort of stuff, you can go really fast. Or if you're wanting nice leveled out stuff, you can turn it over to the right and get some nice sort of leveled off stuff. So you can tell already you're getting some of that room in there because it's pumping, it's bringing that room back up. But if I wanted to level it out, so you don't really need to use the circuit noise and stuff. You can just use this as a compressor, as attack release, just to suit your needs. You'll notice that these arrows correspond to each other and the colours correspond to what is controlling what. But if we just go into the emulator now as a preset, and that is the that's just a short overview of the vintage Lo-Fi effects rack. So yeah, there are just some products that I'd like to show you. By all means, just go over to the website, have a look. I'm looking to get videos and stuff out there, and just to share these tools with you. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.